Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.
On Thursday, September 18, 2025, Port Charles braces for another day of turmoil as the citizens of General Hospital and beyond find themselves caught in webs of secrets, betrayals, and difficult choices that will alter their futures forever. The latest spoilers reveal that Thursday's episode is going to be filled with dramatic confrontations, heartfelt confessions, and the kind of twists that fans have come to expect from GH. The stage is set for a number of storylines to collide, with long-simmering tensions finally erupting and fragile bonds being tested in ways that will keep viewers glued to their screens. Thursday's episode doesn't just promise drama for one or two characters, instead, it spreads the tension across several families, creating ripple effects that will reach into next week and beyond. The first shockwave is felt when Michael Corinthos finds himself at the center of an explosive revelation. Michael's carefully constructed world begins to collapse as his past decisions come back to haunt him in ways he never anticipated. For weeks, fans have suspected that Michael's secrets, especially those involving his behind-the-scenes manipulations to protect Wiley, would eventually come to light, and now that moment has arrived. Michael is cornered as accusations are hurled at him, and the truth about his actions threatens to destroy not just his marriage to Willow but also his standing in the Corinthos family. Spoilers indicate that Michael will try desperately to defend himself, but the weight of his lies is too heavy, and the evidence mounting against him leaves him with very little room to maneuver. This sets the stage for Willow to make one of the most difficult decisions of her life, as she considers whether to stay loyal to her husband or to finally admit that their relationship has been poisoned by too many secrets and betrayals. Willow, for her part, is torn in two directions. On one hand, she loves Michael and has stood by him through countless storms. On the other hand, she is beginning to realize that his obsession with control and his willingness to cross lines in the name of protecting Wiley may have gone too far. Thursday's episode places Willow in the spotlight as she wrestles with these feelings, and fans can expect some emotional scenes as she lays her heart bare. At the core of Willow's struggle is her role as Wiley's mother. Spoilers suggest that Willow is going to assert herself more strongly than ever before, determined to ensure that her son grows up in a safe and honest environment. This could mark a turning point for Willow, as she steps out of Michael's shadow and begins to make independent choices that reflect her values rather than his agenda. If she ultimately decides that Michael's behavior is too damaging, this could pave the way for a custody battle that shakes the Corinthos family to its core. Elsewhere in Port Charles, Carly Spencer finds herself once again in the middle of family drama. Carly has always been fiercely protective of her children, and spoilers hint that she will have some harsh words for Michael as the truth about his schemes comes to light. While Carly has often defended her son in the past, she is also someone who values honesty and loyalty, and she may not be able to condone the lengths Michael has gone to. Carly's relationship with Willow has grown stronger over the past year, and it's possible that she may side with Willow this time, urging her daughter-in-law to do what's best for Wiley rather than blindly supporting Michael. This would be a major development, as it would pit mother against son and further fracture the already fragile Corinthos family dynamic. Carly's involvement also ensures that whatever decision Willow makes will not be a quiet one, instead, it will reverberate across Port Charles and draw in allies and enemies alike. Meanwhile, Sonny Corinthos is grappling with his own set of challenges, and spoilers for Thursday's episode suggest that he will be caught off guard by the latest developments. Sonny has been trying to keep his family together despite the many cracks that have formed over the past year, but Michael's downfall could prove to be the final straw. Sonny and Michael's relationship has been strained for some time, and Thursday may see Sonny finally forced to confront just how far his son has strayed from the values he holds dear. At the same time, Sonny is facing external threats that make this family crisis all the more dangerous. Rivals who sense weakness in the Corinthos family may see this as their opportunity to strike, leaving Sonny to juggle personal betrayal with the demands of his criminal empire. The question is whether Sonny can remain strong enough to protect his loved ones when his family is unraveling from within. Adding to the tension is Nina Reeves, who continues to navigate the complicated waters of her relationship with Sonny. Thursday's spoilers tease that Nina will be drawn into the Corinthos drama in an unexpected way, as her loyalty to Sonny is tested once more. Nina has tried to prove that she belongs in Sonny's world, but she has often found herself clashing with Michael, Willow, and Carly. With Michael now under fire, Nina may feel vindicated, but she will also have to tread carefully to avoid making things worse. the delicate balance between Nina and Carly could tip in surprising directions, especially if Carly feels that Nina is exploiting Michael's downfall for her own gain. Fans can expect sparks to fly as old rivalries resurface and new alliances form in the wake of these revelations. At the same time, the hospital itself is buzzing with its own set of dramas, as Elizabeth, Finn, and other staff members find themselves entangled in personal and professional crises. Thursday's episode promises to feature key moments inside General Hospital that highlight the pressures facing the medical team. Elizabeth is dealing with her own struggles as she tries to support her loved ones while also handling the emotional toll of her job. Finn, meanwhile, is under fire for decisions he has made, and his future at the hospital may be in jeopardy. These storylines may not dominate Thursday's episode, but they will provide important context and emotional depth, reminding viewers that life in Port Charles is always a balancing act between personal heartbreak and professional responsibility. Jason Morgan, as always, looms large in the background of the Corinthos family drama. Though Jason often prefers to stay out of the emotional entanglements of the family, spoilers suggest that Thursday may see him drawn into the fray in a more direct way. Jason's loyalty to Sonny is unwavering, but his bond with Michael has also been strong in the past. The challenge for Jason will be deciding where his loyalty lies now that Michael's actions have jeopardized the family's unity. If Jason sides with Sonny and Carly against Michael, it could mark a turning point in his relationship with his godson. On the other hand, if Jason tries to shield Michael, he risks alienating Sonny at a time when Sonny needs his right-hand man more than ever. This tension is sure to create some unforgettable moments, especially for longtime fans who know just how much history these characters share. The residents of Port Charles are in for another emotionally charged day on General Hospital as Thursday, September 18, 2025, brings a mix of heartfelt confessions, unexpected alliances, and closely guarded secrets. With the fallout from Monica Quartermain's passing still reverberating through the town, the episode promises to deepen the drama surrounding Britt's shocking return, Joe's bold move, and Molly's hidden agenda. Here's a detailed look at what unfolds in Port Charles today, based on the latest spoilers from soaps.sheknows.com and other sources. Britt swallows her pride. Britt Westbourne's return to Port Charles has been anything but smooth. After faking her own death, a revelation that stunned her mother, Liesl Albrecht, and led to a heated confrontation earlier in the week, Britt finds herself at a crossroads on September 18th. The spoilers indicate that Britt must swallow her pride, suggesting a moment of vulnerability for the typically fierce and independent doctor. This could involve a difficult reconciliation with someone she's wronged or a humbling decision to secure her place in Port Charles after her dramatic reappearance. Given the context of her recent clashes, particularly with Liesl, who slapped her in a fit of anger on September 12, Britt's pride-swallowing moment might involve mending fences with her mother. Liesl's reaction to Britt's faked death was visceral, rooted in betrayal and grief, and their relationship remains strained. Alternatively, Britt's pride could be tested in her interactions with other characters, such as Jason, who has been entangled in her rescue from the dangerous Five Poppies resort explosion earlier in the month. Could Britt be forced to ask for help from someone she'd rather avoid, or is she confronting the consequences of her past deceptions? Her journey back to Port Charles has already stirred strong emotions, and this moment promises to reveal a softer, more introspective side of the Britch. Gio asks Sonny for a favor. Meanwhile, Gio Palmieri makes a bold move by approaching Sonny Corinthos for a favor. This development underscores Joe's growing willingness to step up for those he cares about, particularly in the wake of distressing news he and Emma received earlier in the week. The nature of the favor isn't specified in the spoilers, but given Sonny's position as Port Charles's resident mob boss, albeit under the guise of a legitimate coffee importer, Joe's request could carry significant weight and risk. Joe's recent storyline has revolved around his connection with Emma, with whom he's navigating a potential romantic arc. The spoilers for September 16 mention that Emma and Gio received distressing news, possibly related to Dalton's test subjects or the disappearance of Outback, which could be driving Gio to seek Sonny's influence or resources. Is Gio asking for protection, information, or something more personal? Sonny, fresh off revealing his own plans on September 12, is no stranger to granting favors, but they often come with strings attached. This interaction could pull Gio deeper into Sonny's world, setting the stage for future conflicts or alliances as he tries to prove his loyalty to Emma and others. Tracy and Jason share a moment of connection. One of the most poignant moments of the episode comes as Tracy Quartermain and Jason Morgan share a rare moment of connection. the death of Monica Quartermaine, a cornerstone of the Quartermaine family, has left Port Charles reeling, and this episode sees Tracy and Jason finding solace in each other as they process their grief. The spoilers suggest this moment is significant, bridging the gap between two characters who have often been at odds due to their differing personalities and loyalties. Tracy, known for her sharp tongue and fierce protectiveness over the Quartermaine legacy, is likely struggling with the loss of her sister-in-law, Monica, whose passing was revealed to involve a twist with Danny Morgan finding her dead. Jason, Monica's son, is grappling with his own regrets, particularly over the time he lost with his mother due to his tumultuous life. Their shared moment could involve a heartfelt conversation about Monica's impact on their lives or a mutual understanding of the void her absence leaves. This scene promises to be a highlight, offering fans a rare glimpse into the emotional depths of both characters as they navigate the Quartermaine family's heartbreak. Charlotte confides in Lulu. On the family front, Charlotte Cassadine opens up to her mother, Lulu Spencer, about something she's been keeping inside. This moment of vulnerability comes at a pivotal time for the Cassadine family, with Valentine's recent deal with Brennan to secure a visit with Charlotte hinting at larger schemes at play. Charlotte's confession could be related to her earlier actions, such as taking Scout to the Quartermaines from camp, or it might delve into her feelings about her father's absence or the chaos surrounding Port Charles. Lulu, who has been at the center of several major storylines this week, including her decision-making on September 9th and her role in helping an accident victim on September 19th, is a steadfast presence for her daughter. Charlotte's confiding in Lulu suggests a deepening of their bond, but it could also foreshadow complications, especially if her secret ties into the broader Cassadine drama or the investigation into Drew's shooting. This mother-daughter moment is likely to tug at viewers' heartstrings, showcasing Lulu's strength as a parent amidst her own challenges. Molly keeps a secret. Finally, Molly Lansing Davis is keeping a secret, adding another layer of intrigue to the episode. Molly's storyline has been tumultuous, with her relationship with Cody ending and her involvement in the fallout from Scout's disappearance earlier in the month. The spoilers don't reveal the nature of her secret, but her confiding in Elizabeth on September 16th suggests she's wrestling with something significant. Could this secret be related to the investigation into Drew's shooting, where Michael is a prime suspect, or is it a more personal matter tied to her fractured relationships? Molly's decision to keep quiet could have far-reaching consequences, especially in a town where secrets rarely stay buried. Her actions might intersect with the ongoing drama surrounding Drew, Michael, and the PCPD's investigation, which has been a focal point of the week. As Port Charles grapples with grief, betrayal, and danger, Molly's secret could be the spark that ignites the next big conflict. Context and connections. The events of September 18, 2025, are deeply tied to the broader arcs unfolding in Port Charles. The Quartermaine family's mourning of Monica, confirmed by leaks about her funeral, sets a somber tone, while Brit's return continues to ripple through the town, affecting relationships and alliances. The investigation into Drew's shooting, with Michael as a suspect and Anna and Dante digging deeper, adds a layer of suspense that carries over from earlier episodes. Meanwhile, the personal stakes for characters like Gio, Emma, and Charlotte highlight the emotional core of General Hospital, balancing the high-stakes drama with intimate, character-driven moments. Fans can expect this episode to deliver the signature mix of heart, suspense, and surprise that has kept General Hospital a daytime staple for decades. Tune into ABC or Hulu at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time to see how these stories unfold, and check back for more spoilers and recaps as the week progresses. The relentless hum of the fluorescent lights in the ICU was a sound Finn had grown both accustomed to and deeply resentful of. It was the sound of suspended animation, of life held in a fragile, electronic balance. He stood over his brother, Chase, his hand resting on the bed rail, his medical mind running a constant, silent checklist of vitals, outputs, and neurological signs. The physical wounds were, slowly and with immense effort, beginning to heal. But the silence from Chase, the profound lack of the bright, earnest spirit that defined his younger brother, was a wound in Finn's own soul that no amount of medical expertise could suture. "Come on, little brother," he murmured, his voice low and rough with a fatigue that was more emotional than physical. "You've given everyone else your strength your whole life. Now it's time to fight for yourself. Just, give me a sign. A flicker. Anything." The door to the room hissed open, and Elizabeth Weber stepped inside, her presence a quiet calm in the storm of anxiety. Her nurse's eyes, kind and impossibly perceptive, took in the scene, the dedicated doctor, the vulnerable patient, the unspoken weight of grief. "Finn," she said softly. "You've been in here for hours. You need to take a break. Get some real coffee, not this sludge." She gestured to the half-full, cold cup on the bedside table. "I can't, Liz. What if he wakes up? What if he's disoriented and scared and I'm not here?" Finn argued, his gaze never leaving Chase's pallid face. Elizabeth moved to the other side of the bed, efficiently checking the monitors and adjusting the foredrip with a practiced hand. "Then he'll have me. Or another excellent nurse. Or any of the dozens of capable staff in this hospital. He's not alone, Finn. But you can't pour from an empty cup. You're no good to him if you collapse from exhaustion." She placed a gentle hand on his arm. 15 minutes. Walk to the cafeteria. Breathe air that isn't filtered through a hospital vent. I will personally call you the second anything changes. I promise. The sincerity in her voice broke through his resolve. He knew she was right. He was a doctor, he gave the same advice to grieving families every day. Living it was an entirely different matter. With a final, longing look at Chase, he nodded, squeezing Elizabeth's hand in a wordless gesture of thanks before reluctantly stepping out into the bright, busy hallway. The world outside the ICU felt jarringly normal. Porters pushed carts, interns rushed by with charts, and the low murmur of conversations created a tapestry of everyday hospital life. Finn felt like an alien observer, moving through a world that had continued to turn while his own had ground to a devastating halt. His feet carried him on autopilot, not toward the cafeteria, but toward the one person whose own turmoil might mirror his, the one person who understood the specific, unique agony of this situation, Brooklyn Quartermain. He found her not in the waiting room, but in the small, secluded chapel. She wasn't praying on her knees, but sitting in the last pew, her posture rigid, her hands clenched together in her lap so tightly her knuckles were white. She stared blankly at the simple stained glass window, but Finn could tell she wasn't seeing it. She was miles away, trapped in the memory of a screech of tires and shattering glass. He slid into the pew beside her, the old wood creaking softly. She didn't startle, didn't even look at him. Her voice, when it came, was hollow, stripped of its usual vibrant energy. The doctor said his numbers are better. His oxygen saturation. His heart rate. They said it's progress. She finally turned to look at him, and the raw, gut-wrenching guilt in her eyes stole the air from his lungs. Why does that feel like a punishment, Finn? Every time they say he's improving, it just reminds me that he's lying in that bed in the first place. Because of me. Brooklyn, no, Finn said, his voice firm. Not because of you. Because of a drunk driver. Because of a random, cruel, stupid act of fate. You can't own that. But I do, she cried out, the sound echoing softly in the quiet chapel before she lowered her voice to a desperate whisper. I was the one arguing with him. I was the one who took my eyes off the road. I was behind the wheel. He's in there fighting for his life because he was in my car. How do I not own that? How do his parents not look at me and see the person who broke their son? Finn understood the labyrinth of guilt she was trapped in. He'd been navigating his own version of it. Gregory and I, he said carefully, we don't see that. We see the woman our son loves. We see the woman who loves him. We see someone who is suffering right alongside us. Blame is a fire, Brooklyn. It consumes everything. It won't help Chase. It won't bring him back to us any faster. The only thing that will help him is knowing we're all here, fighting with him. He reached out, covering her clenched hands with one of his own. And we are fighting with him. Together. A single tear traced a path down her cheek, followed by another. The rigid tension in her shoulders finally broke, and she slumped forward, her head bowing. Finn didn't offer empty platitudes. He simply sat there, a solid, steady presence, sharing the weight of the silence. Meanwhile, in the bustling hospital cafeteria, a different kind of tension was brewing. Cody Bell, feeling antsy and useless in the face of Chase's condition, had convinced a reluctant Dante Falconeri to grab a coffee with him. They found a small table in a relatively quiet corner, but the peace was short-lived. "I just feel like I should be doing something," Cody grumbled, stirring his coffee with more force than necessary. "Punching something. Investigating something. Not just waiting." "Waiting is part of the job, sometimes," Dante said, his tone even, the voice of experience. His eyes, however, were constantly scanning the room, a habit ingrained from years on the police force. It was that habit that caught the subtle shift. He saw Sasha Gilmore enter the cafeteria, looking drawn and anxious, heading for the coffee station. A moment later, he saw Mason, his posture too casual, his eyes tracking Sasha with a predatory focus that set off every alarm bell in Dante's head. "Speaking of investigating," Dante murmured, his voice dropping. Cody followed his gaze. "That weasel. What's he doing here? Doesn't he have some other innocent person to torment?" "Exactly," Dante said, his jaw tightening. "He's not here for the coffee. He's here for her. He's making sure she's still under his thumb, still scared." He watched as Mason intercepted Sasha, leaning in close to say something that made her flinch and take a step back. The exchange was brief, but the power dynamic was painfully clear. As Mason turned to leave, a smug, satisfied smirk on his face, he caught Dante and Cody watching him. The smirk didn't falter, it widened, a blatant challenge. He gave them a slow, deliberate once-over before sauntering out of the cafeteria. "I really don't like that guy," Cody stated, his fists clenching on the tabletop. "Join the club," Dante replied, his mind already racing. Mason's brazenness was a problem. It suggested he felt protected, untouchable. And men who felt untouchable were dangerous. His type thrives on fear and isolation. The best thing we can do for Sasha right now is the opposite. We need to be a presence. We need to let her know, and let him know, that she's not alone. "So, what's the plan?" Cody asked, leaning forward, eager for action. "We start by talking to her," Dante said, his eyes following a visibly shaken Sasha as she hurried out of the cafeteria, her coffee forgotten. "But carefully. We can't spook her. If she's as terrified as she looks, she might not talk to us if she thinks Mason will find out." Up in the secluded lounge reserved for the Quartermain family, a storm of a different nature was gathering. Tracy Quartermain had summoned Ned, her tone leaving no room for negotiation. She stood by the window, her back ramrod straight, every inch the formidable matriarch. "Edward, we need to talk about this situation with Leo," she began, not one to waste time on pleasantries. Ned, who had been leaning against the fireplace mantel, sighed wearily. "It's not a situation, Mother. It's my son. And it's his education. Olivia and I are handling it." "Are you?" Tracy turned, her eyes sharp. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're allowing that woman to make unilateral decisions that affect Leo's future. A future that, I might remind you, includes his inheritance and his place in this family." "Her name is Olivia," Ned said, his voice tight with restrained anger. "She is my wife, and she is Leo's mother. She is not that woman. And she is making decisions based on what is best for our son, who has unique needs that you continually refuse to acknowledge. Unique needs require unique solutions, not coddling." Tracy retorted. "The world is not going to adapt to him, Edward. He must learn to adapt to the world. Sending him to a specialized school, surrounding him with other children who face similar challenges, will only isolate him. He needs to be pushed. He needs to be prepared for the realities of life, especially as a Quartermain." Ned pushed off the mantel, his patience wearing thin. "You think we haven't considered that? You think we're not lying awake at night worrying about his future? This isn't about coddling, Mother. This is about giving him the tools and the foundation he needs to be able to adapt. Throwing him into an environment where he's set up to fail isn't preparing him for anything. It's cruelty." Olivia found a school with an incredible program, with specialists who know how to help children like Leo thrive. This is an opportunity, not a setback. Tracy's expression was one of sheer incredulity. An opportunity? To sideline him? To mark him as different? He should be at the same school as his cousins. He should be building the relationships that will serve him later in life. This is a mistake, Edward. A profound one. And I will not stand by and let it happen. The door to the lounge opened and Olivia herself walked in, her face pale but her expression determined. She had clearly heard the last part of the conversation. Then you'll be standing alone, Tracy, Olivia said, her voice quiet but unwavering. Because this decision is made. It's what's best for Leo. This isn't a Quartermain business negotiation. This is our family. Mine, Ned's, and Leo's. Your opinion, while noted, is not the deciding factor. Tracy looked from her son to her daughter-in-law, a cold fury settling in her eyes. She had lost this particular battle, and she did not take losing well. Without another word, she swept past them and out of the room, the slam of the door echoing like a gunshot. The war, however, was far from over. Down in the hospital's main lobby, Curtis Ashford was waiting for his wife, Portia Robinson. When she emerged from her rounds, she looked exhausted but managed a warm smile for him. "Hey, you," she said, leaning in for a quick kiss. "This is a nice surprise." "Thought I'd walk my beautiful wife home," Curtis said, taking her bag. But as they stepped out into the late afternoon sun, his demeanor grew more serious. "I actually wanted to talk to you about something." "About Trina?" Portia's smile faded slightly. "What about her? Is everything okay?" "She's fine, she's great," Curtis assured her quickly. "It's about the future. Our future. Her future." He took a deep breath. "I've been thinking about us having another baby." Portia stopped walking, turning to face him fully, her surprise evident. "Curtis, where is this coming from? We've talked about this. With our careers, and Trina practically grown, a baby?" I know, he said, running a hand over his head. "Hear me out. I love our life. I love Trina more than anything. But sometimes I feel like I missed it all. I missed the first steps, the first words, the sleepless nights, the whole experience of fatherhood from the very beginning. I want that with you, Portia. I want to build a family with you, from the ground up." Portia's expression softened, but a deep, unspoken anxiety flickered in her eyes. It was an anxiety rooted in a secret she had carried for years. "Curtis, having a baby, it's a huge commitment. It changes everything. And we're not as young as we used to be." "We're not old," he countered gently. "And it is a huge commitment, one I know we can handle. Together. Just think about it, okay? That's all I'm asking." "I will," Portia promised, her voice a little tight. "I'll think about it." She slipped her hand into his, and they continued walking, but a new, heavy silence had fallen between them, filled with Portia's unvoiced fears and Curtis's hopeful dreams. Back inside the hospital, the shift change was beginning. Elizabeth gave her report to the incoming nurse, her thoughts never far from Finn and Chase. As she gathered her things to leave, she felt a familiar pang of loneliness. She thought about Hamilton Finn, shouldering his burden with such quiet strength in that ICU room. She thought about the complicated, often painful, tapestry of relationships that played out within these walls every single day. She thought about her own sons, and the constant balancing act of being a mother, a nurse, and a woman who longed for a partnership that seemed to perpetually elude her. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. A text from Laura Collins, checking in on Chase's condition and inviting her for a coffee sometime soon. A small smile touched Elizabeth's lips. This was her family. Not just the one at home, but this messy, chaotic, endlessly resilient network of people at General Hospital. They fought, they loved, they betrayed, they forgave. They endured. She took one last look down the long, gleaming hallway toward the ICU. Somewhere in there, a good man was fighting his way back to the people who loved him. Somewhere, a frightened woman was being menaced by a criminal. Somewhere, a family was arguing over the future of a child. Somewhere, a couple was navigating the hopes and fears of building a life together. It was just another day. But within it contained all the pain, hope, fear, and love that defined every day at General Hospital. The story was never over. It was simply paused, waiting for the next day to begin.